Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we are diving straight into the hidden math that dictates the cost of living and inflation data you see in the news literally every single day. If you've ever found yourself wondering how economists actually calculate the true impact of changing prices on your wallet, well, you're definitely in the right place. Let's get right into it.
Here's our quick roadmap for today. We'll tackle the flaw of simple indices, explore real-world weighting, break down Loss Bears and Posh's price indices, and wrap up with why choosing the right one actually matters.
Part 1. The flaw of simple indices.
So, to really appreciate the complex formulas, we first need to look at why basic math just kind of falls on its face here. A simple index assumes that everything you buy impacts your wallet in exactly the same way. In this basic method, every single commodity is given equal importance. But, think about your own life for a second. That is a massive flaw when you're trying to measure real economic changes. I mean, a 10% price increase on something you buy every single day, that's going to hurt a lot more than a 10% increase on some random thing you only buy once a year, right?
Moving on to part 2, the real-world weighting. Okay, think of it like this. Imagine an essential food grain getting a massive, heavyweight block, while a tiny decorative item just gets a tiny little block. This perfectly represents their actual impact on your daily budget, because obviously not all items are of equal importance. Economists assign these precise weights to get much, much more accurate results.
But what exactly is a weight when we're talking about the math? Well, economists achieve this fairness by using the actual quantities of items you buy. By multiplying the price of an item, which we'll just call P, by the quantity typically consumed, represented by the letter Q, they can reveal the true economic trends that reflect actual human behavior.
That brings us to Part 3, Loss Bears Price Index.
Now that we see why weights are so crucial, let's meet the guy who figured out how to apply them. German economist Etienne Lasber's formulated this highly influential index that basically looked to the past to anchor present prices. He realized that if you want to measure how current prices relate to the past, you need a really solid foundation for comparison. And here is his signature move. Laspire puts the spotlight entirely on the base year quantities. We call those Q0. In his famous formula, these past quantities act as the chosen weights for both the top and the bottom of the equation. He firmly believed that the commodities purchased in that original base period, they just absolutely have to be the strict standard for comparison. So let's actually put this into action. By locking in those base year quantities, we multiply today's prices by past quantities on the top and past prices by past quantities on the bottom. Looking at some sample data here, a total of 860 divided by 570, then multiplied by 100, gives us an index of roughly 150.9. It's elegant. It shows you exactly how much a historical basket of goods would cost you right now, today.
Next up, Part 4, Posh's Price Index.
But what if you think looking at past quantities is just entirely the wrong approach? Enter another German economist, Hermann Porsche. He stepped up with a completely different philosophy on what these weights should actually be. Instead of looking backwards, Porsche developed an index for measuring price levels relative to the base period, but using current period weighting. So Porsche completely flipped the script. Notice how the focus shifts here. His distinct formula weighs everything using current year quantities, or Q1. He insisted that today's shopping habits are what truly matter. So he just replaces the historical quantities with current quantities on both the top and the bottom of the calculation. When we run some new data through this specific philosophy, using current quantities as our weights for both periods, we get a weighted current sum of 134 divided by a base sum of 63. And the result? An index of nearly 212.7. It is a completely different mathematical perspective, mainly because it reflects what people are actually buying right now, not what they were buying yesterday.
Finally, Part 5, Choosing the Right Index.
You might be wondering, why does this battle of methodologies actually matter outside the classroom? Well, these very formulas are the indispensable tools governments use to literally shape our world. They use them to dictate your dearness allowances, your cost of living adjustments, to set national wage policies, and to officially measure inflation so they can implement economic safeguards. Basically, the math dictates the policy.
Which leaves us with a pretty fascinating real-world dilemma. If we rely heavily on today's consumer quantities, like Porsche suggests, how blind do we become when an unexpected global crisis changes what everyone buys literally overnight? Index numbers are incredibly powerful, but they are only as reliable as the stability of the human behavior they're trying to measure. Think about that the next time you see an inflation headline.